Seconds to spare. Making good use of my morning.
You should have heard what they were saying about you.
Yeah.
It was all good, Delmer. It was all good.
Okay, let's call this work session to order. It is 9:30, Tuesday, April 16th. Our work session is our informal time of talking with the public and just informal chats. So, who has something they want to bring up today?
Well, I can never be quiet, so I gotta.
Amen to that.
Kind of a difficult situation, but I guess I just come right out and I'll say it. Commissioners, I understand there's some thought and consideration on the proposal that I have made on the $2 or $5 user fee tax of putting it on the ballot. And when I heard that, I just, and if you'll hear me out for a few moments here. The citizens of Seneca County the voters of Seneca County have elected us to do a job. And that job is to be leaders in Seneca County and not to have status quo, to promote Seneca County and bring Seneca County into the next level. When I say that, I know there's certainly some opposition on this user fee that I'm proposing, and I like to come back and equate to my business career, because when I started this whole thing on running for political office, I said I was going to try to run it like a business. And as I go back and I look at business, and I ask myself, the expansions that I've had through the years of the laminate technologies, if I would have went to my employees and say, okay, we need to expand, we need to do this, we need to do that, but you're going to have to forego raises for the next 3 years or 5 years or whatever, or forego bonuses, I can absolutely assure you that nobody would have agreed to it. They would have just absolutely turned it down because they only think what's in their pocket today. But in 3 years from now, as what has happened so many times in my business career, my employees have come back and said, I'm glad you made that decision. I'm glad you made that investment. I hate debt. I hate taxes. I want to make sure that's perfectly clear. But I think the citizens of Seneca County expect us to be leaders. And I asked the commissioners, the easy way out of this, absolutely the easiest way is us just to not consider it, to turn it down. Our job for the next 2 to 4 years will be much easier. The problem is, if we agree to this, as we unanimously have to do, the citizens of Seneca County are going to expect us to make things happen. If we can get this thing through, the work's just starting. The easiest part is going to be convincing the 3 commissioners. The work really is going to start then. We're going to have to show the citizens of Seneca County we can take their tax dollars and we can make some things happen. So we could either go the easy way and just turn this thing down and not have anything more of it, or take the hard road, the leadership road, and try to promote Seneca County to the next level. And I understand, there's certainly some concerns. I had a call yesterday. I was absolutely dumbfounded. I got a call from Governor Kasich, personally. To begin with, it took me about 10 minutes because I couldn't believe him, and I'm joking with him. I'm saying, come on, who is this? I thought it was a joke. Well, after some numerous questions and so forth, I finally said, oh, you are the governor. And he said, Fred, what do you think I do, sit up here in the ivory tower and don't do anything all day? Well, he was calling me and supporting what we're doing. He's hearing what's going on with the mayor down here and with the commissioners down here. Very supportive. And he goes to me, he said, Fred, he said, I can't. He went to, he said, I'll call Jerry Ray. Of course, me and my stupidity, I go, who the hell Jerry Ray? And he said, that's the director of ODOT. He said, I'll call him. He said, and for the next 2 days, if he doesn't call you back, he said, here's my personal number. You call me. He said, I'll make sure he calls you. And here's what you have to say. This is the governor talking to a low-life commissioner. We got people's ear in Columbus. As I said, we can take the easy way out, which is no leadership, and do exactly as we have done for the last 59 years. And Commissioner Wagner, I know you worked very hard on trying to get things done, and I understand that. I really do. But the fact is all we can get is dribbles and drabs. We have an opportunity in front of us to possibly, and there's no guarantees we're going to get in this turnpike money, but we have the opportunity in front of us that we can truly make something happen for Seneca County. And so I asked the commissioners to really consider this proposal. I know there's opposition out there. I know there's opponents for it. Last week we filled the chamber with people, and I invited both sides. I wanted to fill this chamber with not just people that were supportive of it, people to hear all sorts, both sides of it, because I realize there's both sides of it. It's a tax. No matter how you position it, it's still a tax. It's difficult, but I believe very firmly that the citizens of Seneca County voted us in to show true leadership. And I ask that we, okay, I'll shut up.
I'm just to set the record straight, I'm not looking for an easy way out. I don't think Mr. Wagner is looking for an easy way out. It's just that the question, I raised it at the session last week because I had that question twice from people that said, do we get to vote on this, or why don't we get to vote on this? And so that's the reason I put that out there. I think, because Commissioner Wagner can speak for himself, but I think he put the question out there to the prosecutor just to have factual information to answer that question. I think he probably knew at least part of that answer about whether we could or couldn't and how the citizens do that. But so I don't want anybody to think that that's it. And due diligence is what it's about in serving. And yes, I'm not looking for an easy way out either. I want to make when I'm ready to take that vote, I want to know that I've done my homework, and I don't want that to take 6 months. I don't want that to take much longer than whatever it needs to. It's been 2 weeks at this point, but in gathering that information, because it is a decision, we will make a decision and not let it live out there forever. But we need to have the information to make the decision, and I think the citizens we represent want to know that we've done our homework. And so I don't want that to be perceived as trying to look for a coward way out, because that's not it at all.
Did the governor make any, did the governor mention the $5 tax, or did he just mention the roads?
He mentioned that he is receptive, albeit in very general terms. It was about a 15-minute conversation, understanding about 7 of it was trying to verify if he was truly the governor. Can't believe that I did that, but he just said in general, he was very supportive of what we're doing. He understands what we're talking about with the road improvement, as it's got to deal with safety and it's got to do with economic development, and that he would talk with Mr. Ray, Jerry Ray, at the director of ODOT in support of what we're doing. As far as how we're going to pay for it, or any of those issues, no, there wasn't anything discussed with that.
He's supportive of improving roads.
He's supportive of the initiative that we're bringing forth within Seneca County. Now, again, he wasn't specific on anything there. Again, I look at it. This is probably the fairest tax that there is out there, is strictly a user's fee, and if you have more vehicles, you're going to use the roads more, you're going to pay more of a tax. I was a little dumbfounded last week. I thought we could put it on for 5 years, but after hearing Mark Zimmerman, that we can't set a specific timeline. But my objective is if we get this passed, and the reason that I think is such an interest to get it done now versus later is right now there are discussions with the turnpike funds of the 1.5 billion to get those funds. It's in the appropriation process now. For us to do this next year, I think we're losing a large part of the opportunity out there. Realizing it's an opportunity, it's not a mandate. It's not something that we know we're going to get.
I had another thought and I lost it. Okay.
I have that a lot, Jeff. As the older we get, the more that happens. Everyone has to do their due diligence, but I ask the commissioners to do your due diligence as quickly as possible, because I think I think time is important to us here, to be able to take advantage, if we can possibly take any advantage. It's obvious with the call that I had from the governor, that they hear us down in Columbus, and that to me is overwhelming, so that we may have an opportunity that we can really get something done here.
And I might note for the public, our Council of Governments is scheduled a meeting for May 3rd, I think, with Wyandotte County, Sandusky County, and the various cities in there to promote 53 as some sort of a road improvement going on there.
And people are talking about that and asking, not about the meeting necessarily, but asking that question, well, what if we did, and we were able to do this, and if Sandusky County or Wyandotte County doesn't do anything, what difference is that gonna make, and this kind of stuff. And, like I said, there's still, so that meeting to happen will be a good thing.
If you would impose this today, when does collection start? And it takes, it's gonna take,
We were still
2
gathering
years
information
before
on the
you got a-
vehicles. We were working on get an average of the last couple of years, and the number of vehicles it was, just to be really accurate on a figure. So,
I understand, you're probably not comfortable making a decision at this time. You'd like to wait a little bit.
right, no, there's a couple more things I still wanna
Okay,
find
okay,
out, and
that's-
I've been working on it, but.
Yep, that's fine, that's fine. That's
Along
fine.
with
You tell
other
us when
things.
you're ready. You tell us when you're ready. I just, and I'd like to wait till we're
absolutely.
all ready to make a decision, and then we'll make a decision at one time. I would say, you've made the statement a couple times now in different ways that the easy way, or I used the term typical politician one time, would be to not impose the tax, but to put it on the ballot. I guess people's perception of what a typical politician is varies, because I hear more to impose something that you know is gonna fail would be more of a typical politician. You see what I'm saying? And
I understand it.
I'm not trying to, I know what you're saying, I don't disagree, you've made many good points, and I don't disagree with many of them, but,
I understand.
I've got a statement here in a few weeks, whenever we decide to make the decision, I'll,
Well, that's what, I ask you to continue your due diligence of whatever you need to do, and then at that point, when you're ready, then we can bring it up, potentially for a vote. But again, I always bring this back, and I look back to my business career. If I would have asked my employees if we could do an addition to forego raises, I can tell you, we wouldn't be where we are today. And I think that's exactly where we are in Seneca County.
Mr. Goshi, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I have a question. The overpass over at Fostoria on this side, the railroad, and the fairly new one, that was a pretty
Jones Road.
expensive proposition.
Yes.
And I understand the state stood some of that. Is that correct or not?
Mr. DeVoli, when he was, I'm gonna say governor, when he was mayor,
Yeah.
met with the ODOT folks regarding that, and they promised to do, was it 2 overpasses? They proposed 3, and ODOT promised to do a couple. You probably got a better memory on that. Yeah, that was an ODOT project. ODOT funded that.
Okay, how could ODOT fund that? And that's not even a state highway. And where did they get who got the money for that? And was there any local money put into it?
Boy, that's a good question. There was no county money put in. There might have been some city of Fostoria money put into it. I'm not sure. Not
Well,
much.
I don't think there was much.
From my understanding is, again, the ODOT uses what they call the tracking system. And 1, they look at population. 2, they look at the amount of traffic. 3, they look at can the county or the municipality share in some of the costs. And what Engineer Mark Zimmerman mentioned last week in the meeting, I think you were here last week, weren't you?
I was there once, I wasn't here last week, no.
Okay, well, he detailed out a very extensive program, and he mentioned if you don't have money, that when you go down to the state, that you almost assured, in our 59 years of experience has showed that it gets thrown out.
Well,
So
that's
you
why I
gotta pass
wondered,
the track project.
I was kind of wondering how the devil they got the state to come in there and do something. And as far as I know, there wasn't any local money put into that. I don't know that there was. I was just questioning.
There was a lot of
whether it
work, a lot of lobbying, and that's
Yeah,
been a few years
right.
ago, but they worked on it a long time, long and hard, and got it done.
Yeah, okay, in other words, that right over there is a micro toward what 53 would be.
Absolutely.
And the state certainly, if they would contribute to something like that, they certainly ought to contribute to 53. Everybody knows it's a pain in the back end, you know?
We're more likely to get it done if we can contribute
Well,
some
I
funds towards
understand
it.
that, but I mean, I still think that somewhere along the line, the state ought to have in their head that, hey, this is a project that should have been done years ago, and not just lean on somebody's pressure on them.
Where is that meeting on the 3rd? Does anybody know?
It's at the COG.
Okay, it's
It's
over at
at
the
old
Kroger
Kroger's,
building.
the old Kroger's, yeah.
And that would certainly be a public meeting, so, May 3rd, what time?
11 o'clock, I think. It's 11 to 1.
Okay. And that's hosted, it's not our meeting, it's hosted by the Council of Governments. So we'll be there, the commissioners from the other 2 counties will be there, the mayor of Upper and Fremont and whoever at Tiffin probably, so. Whoever else they invited, so. Yes, Mr. Bean.
Can I change the pace a little bit?
Sure.
You are leaders. I agree with that. I believe some time ago, there was monies, maybe not monies, taken away from county employees. Their insurance has gone out of sight. I think you're contemplating now of taking away some of their time that they might have built up. I think that's wrong. I think if you want good employees, you need to pay them good. I think that draws people in to have extra monies. I hate to see.
What do you mean they're taking time away? This is the first
Well,
I've heard
I'm-
that.
We had the
vacation
discussion
payout.
about the carryover,
The severance, or whatever you call it, the severance pay or whatever.
On the sick
I,
leave.
I don't,
Yes,
my mind feel as though that should be taken away from them.
In essence, we're not really taking from, if you study the proposal that we made back in January,
Yeah.
and what brought this on is, heck, it wasn't our second meeting, all of a sudden, we had a $30,000 payout for 2 individuals. And all that we've done is the carryover versus 3 years, and we've made it 2 years. They still get it, they just gotta use it in 2 years.
And this is vacation, this is not
Yeah.
sick. I think that's the.
Why take that away from them? You are taking it away from them, Fred. I feel as though you're taking it away from them.
They just have to use it in 2 years, they can't use it in 3.
Okay, the people that have a lot of time built up now, they're gonna be off all summers, all the next couple of years. I just feel as though they're getting blindsided to a point. If you want good employees, pay them good.
Well, and
You
let me tell you-
understand that better than anybody.
Yeah, let me tell you one of the things that I asked when I first took this position is, because I knew through the campaign, I was constantly questioned, well, what are you gonna do with raises? You know, we've been on a moratorium for the last amount of years and so forth and so on. I said, I hear you loud and clear. And what we have repeatedly tried to get a real definition on is equal, what kind of compensation are you getting versus similar sized counties? And believe it or not, that has been very difficult for us to get. We had a meeting with CCAO here 2 weeks ago, and this is the County Commissioners Association. And I asked them back in January, I said, here you are, you're supposed to be an association of all the commissioners. Can you tell me what the pay scale is of the auditor's office, of the recorder's office, of all these various offices, so we can look at similar size, don't compare us to Lucas or Cuyahoga or Montgomery, but similar sized counties, because that's our competition. And if we're here and they're up here, that's a problem. We gotta get it up.
That's right.
Or conversely, if it's the other way, then don't come to me and ask for a raise because you're already above the mark. We have had a difficult time, and I know Administrator Stacy has put some effort into that, but it's to find departments that will divulge that information in the various counties, it's been difficult. It's been difficult. So, and it's amazing that as I trying to have quarterly meetings with some of the department heads, and it's first thing they come up, well, about raises. So I put the onus back on them. It is your responsibility to find out what comparable departments make in the various counties put it up to them. So give me a list of 3, 4 counties, this is what they're making entry level, this is what they're making after 5 years, blah, blah, this is what the director's making. So then we can compare that to see if we're on par with those. I hear it. As far as insurance, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
I understand.
It's unaffordable for everybody. Business, private business, county government, I don't have an answer to that.
I think we try and do the best we can for our employees. We did get a 3%, not a raise this year, but a one-time supplement to county employees. And that's been several years, and it hurts when you can't pay people what you know they're worth, but I think we try and do the best we can.
Has no bearing on me whatsoever, but better pay, the better people you're gonna get.
Sure, sure.
That's, and I think if you want good people in the county, as employees, pay them that little extra.
The cost of
I expect a
retraining.
little applause from a couple of you people here.
The cost of training is very expensive.
I'm sure.
As you got turnover and then you gotta pay overtime or however we compensate that to retrain people, I mean, it's a nightmare.
Who else has something they want to bring up today? Yes, ma'am.
Loretta Miller, Tiffin, Ohio. I would encourage you in stepping forward in terms of the taxing, the $5, and I'm saying, well, as long as you're going $5, hearing Mark Zimmerman's numbers last week, the $5 would only generate $200,000, whereas the $10, because of the other municipalities taking their $5 out, that it would take $10 to get $350,000 a year. And I would encourage you to even consider that aspect, the $10 increase rather than just 5. What is it, 3 gallons of gas now that the price of gas is down? And I know that some decisions are not popular, and yet in the long run, the public would thank people for making those decisions. I attended that flood memorial thing on Sunday, and it was interesting hearing from Mayor Montz that after the flood, it took a long time to get things going, and the flood wall and buying the property, and widening the river, it was very controversial. And they finally got it across with the mayor and a 4-3 vote. That it was not widely popular with everyone because they didn't want to spend the money, because it was extremely expensive then. Extremely expensive, millions of dollars, today's millions, then it was, a couple $100,000. But 100 years later, the high water we had last week would have flooded if they hadn't done the river wall and widening the river. And it was expensive, it was controversial, it took leadership for the people the city council members, the mayor, to step out and actually do it, to get it done. But it was a very, very, very worthwhile project. And I think in the same respect, pursuing funds to have some funds in Seneca County that could be applied to, quote, our share or whatever ODOT is more willing to step in. If there are some local funds, if I heard Mark Zimmerman correctly last week, he said that a lot of the purchasing right-of-way and things needs to be done with local funds. And so I think that it would be expensive, but down the road, in the future, not just the physical road, but in the future, it would be very much appreciated by people in Seneca County. And I think also Rich Vote's numbers on the accident rate in Seneca County. To me, that was surprising, that Seneca County is among the top accident rates for the numbers of miles driven and things in Seneca County, in Ohio. And I think it would cut down on the accident rate and could be very, very helpful.
Well, I hear what you're saying about the $10, and
Yep.
I appreciate that, but also we're trying to be good stewards and responsive to the community. And the theory behind this is to show intent. I don't think what we're really gonna come to the plate with is gonna be, you know, a major amount of money, but it shows ODOT that the people of Seneca County are behind this. The leadership in Seneca County from the commissioners is very progressive thinking. And isn't so much the money, or it isn't so much the dollar amount, but it is the gesture that we're willing to share in. You know, I've had more and more people say, Fred, 5 isn't enough, should be 10. So I'm having a heck of a time trying to get 5 through. Let's take baby steps here. And it's more the attitude and the image that we portray down to ODOT, that we're willing to come to the plate. That's the key to what it is. If it's $1 million or $1 million, 1.5. But I hear what you're saying.
Any other comments from anybody on this subject or any subject? This is open session. Yes.
If it's all right.
Please, please.
You got a gun, do you?
They always say approach, just like we're a judge or something.
I'm here this morning to respectfully request the commissioners to consider supporting an upgrade of computers in the auditor's office. We're currently working with 2008 computers that run Windows XP and Windows 2003. Before I gave a quote and the breakdown of the proposed funds that would support this purchase. The lion's share would come out of the real estate assessment fund. One PC and software would be purchased out of the dog and kennel fund. And then the remainder, 5, so to speak, would be paid out of general fund. The general fund investment would be a little over $5,000, or the $5,194.94. That would bring us up to a Windows 7 application, as well as 2013 Microsoft Office package for us to do our documents and Excel and that type of thing. So I do need to move forward with the purchase from the real estate fund, as we are finalizing our real estate upgrade that the commissioner supported. But we do need to look at updating the general fund, or the primarily fiscal side computers, as those are running the old software as well.
Any questions for Julie?
Yeah, is your, the number of machines and stuff, is the price gonna be impacted? Are you getting a quantity kind of discount if you didn't purchase all of them?
I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
This
I'm
was
just curious.
through the county IT person, Jake.
Okay,
So he didn't indicate that was a bearing
okay.
for this purchase.
And then does this solve the problem? And I'm good at this when I'm shopping for a computer, but not when I'm not. And right now I have one at home that doesn't work, so I might be doing that. But does one of those programs, or both of those, either XP or is it the Windows thing that is no longer gonna be supported?
Both.
Both?
Both.
Okay.
Office 2003 and Windows XP. As of the first of the month, Windows is not supporting anymore.
That's what I was remembering somebody was telling me when I was talking about the nightmares I forgot. Okay.
Yep. So from the top 2 funds, real estate and dog and kennel, I do need to make that investment, and I'll probably go ahead and get that paperwork in place today. But I'm asking also for the commissioner's consideration to support the general fund purchase.
Julie, I always like to ask, what happens if you don't get it?
If we don't get it?
Yeah. Now all of a sudden,
Then
May
we're-
1st comes around, what happens then? If you don't get it?
We're currently in that window where if there are patches that Windows would provide, we're not getting those. Bigger picture, I don't know if that opens a risk for viruses or anything like that. However, we do have great firewalls, but I think that if there's any patches, we would not be receiving those.
You'd be stuck.
Yes.
Is there any chance of getting anything out of the equipment, the physical hardware? I know they would have to wipe out hard drives, that kind of stuff, but through anybody else needing those in the county or selling them on, what is it?
Go.
There you go.
I did pose a question to Jake, would it be cost effective to just upgrade our current PCs like I said, we made that investment in 2008. He said probably the cost to upgrade, it would be just as cheap to buy a newer computer. We will retain our monitors. We invested at the end of last year in a double monitor system for the staff. We will be able to use those monitors, so it would just be the PC and the wireless keyboard and mouse.
Okay.
Along with the
But there's
software.
no value to get out of anything you're not gonna need.
We could ask
Or
Jake,
limited.
but
Okay.
I'm guessing probably not.
Yeah, I just
Because they're already
don't
5
know.
years old.
Yeah.
That's the last upgrade you had was 5 years ago?
Yes, that was just for machinery. Prior to.
Hard drive
yeah.
upgrade.
Yep, that was to take us to XP.
Any other questions for Julie?
I think it's very cheap. I told, to our business, we just spent about 4 times that to be upgraded. So I mean, that's, you gotta have computers.
Is Damon gonna need one?
I checked with Jake to make sure that Damon was not in a similar situation. I believe he purchased PCs last year.
Okay.
And they are currently running Windows XP, but through that licensure from that purchase, they also have the Windows 7. So it's just a matter of Jake getting in there and toggling it over to the Windows 7 or working his magic to do that.
Can we think about this till next week and act on it next week? Would that be is that gonna put a hardship on you?
No, that's fine. I
I-
think I will proceed though
Okay.
with the purchase because of the investment to the real estate system.
I just think any type of purchase, it's good to at least have a week to
That's fair.
think about it. I mean, it's not unreasonable.
Okay.
Okay.
Any
we'll-
other
we'll act-
questions?
No, thanks.
All right,
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry.
Anything else for work session before we go into regular session? Anybody wants to break out? All right, let's begin our regular session then, and it's 10:01. Begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call, please.
Commissioner Weber?
I'm here.
Commissioner Stacy?
Here.
Commissioner Ford?
Here.
All right, let's begin by signing the journal and approving the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes as outlined.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Zola?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Weber?
Yes. And by the way, I'll just mention at the beginning, thank you very much for anyone that thought or prayed for me last week. The specialist thing went better than expected, so thank you. And I did listen to the tape. You guys let Mark talk a long time.
That man is
I heard
long-winded.
it clang, I thought he was back.
All right. Old business? Not
today.
Old business, Nicole? Mrs. Stacy.
Just touch bases on the jobs fair, and Commissioner Zoller can jump in here, because I was out of the state on Friday when the meeting was held, and I knew I would be, but refined some things with it, so it's getting stronger and better all the time. Again, our first effort through this on a county-wide basis, but looking at a time frame where the general job seekers can come into the job fair being 1:30 to 4:30. So I think that's a key thing that now going forward, we want to make sure those times are out there. We've kept saying tentative, and we were looking at a wider spread of time, and lots of discussions on things. If you got any questions, see me afterwards, we can discuss those things, but very excited about the businesses jumping on board. And yes, the number is very real, that there are hundreds of jobs out there to fill. The only businesses participating in this are businesses who have positions that they need to fill, either immediately and or very near future. And I got people saying, "Oh, that can't be true. They can't have. There's no 300, 400 jobs in Seneca County." And I'm telling you, there are. We've heard it. I've heard it from those, individuals at those facilities, those businesses, and I just had to throw that out there because people, keep saying like we're just making that number up, and no, we're not really. So
Okay.
that's it.
Good. Thank you. Thank you.
My hat's off to Commissioner Stacy on this. You've taken charge of this, and you really, really are doing a good job. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a daunting project to try to get all these different groups together and trying to do this. Really, a lot of the other jobs fair, they have a year in the planning. We got 2 months. So, hats off to you, Commissioner.
Do you have some old business, Mr. Zoller? Okay, I do not either. New business.
Well, I'll do an update.
our jail last week during that storm. We had a storm come in, I think, Wednesday morning and also Wednesday late afternoon. We didn't have any issues with the second storm, but the first storm has struck our tower out to the jail. It happened earlier in 2006. It was quite a large claim back in 2006. I have talked to Jeff Knapp from Corsa. He's sending up a lightning claim specialist to come up and look at all of our equipment. We had 2 controllers at the jail go down, which were hit the last time the claim came through. They do have one up and running temporarily. The good news is Dan Stahl, our EMA director, was able to run all dispatch out of a public safety building. That is our backup, and it worked wonders, and you know, that was excellent, showing that what he does seems like it's in vain, but it actually benefit us that day. So
That's a great point. I mean, the backup worked. The system that was in place to back up worked.
yep.
I'm sorry, I
No, go
didn't
ahead.
interrupt, but the antenna on that tower was clear over in the parking lot by the dog warden there. So the lightning shot it a long ways.
Yep.
This is an insurance claim.
Yes. Yep.
It'll cost us some money up front, and we will get reimbursed, except for our deductible, which is $2,500. So.
Yep.
But we're talking hundreds of thousands,
Yep.
perhaps.
I mean, I
Really?
have quotes on the controller and quotes on a phone system, and the 2 controllers in 2006 were $20,000. I haven't got an update on it, but the phone system that's going to need replaced is about $20,000 well, so already at $40,000, and that's just a small portion. We had our video arraignment system go down too, so where we judges and inmates do video arraignment, and that was down, that got hit, so we're going to have cameras, and AT&T's got to come in and run some new lines, and it was a huge hit. It was a big hit, so we've got to have somebody come in and actually check the structure of the tower, check the other antennas that are on that tower. So this could be a potentially large claim again, but you know, we'll deal with it as they come in, and like I said, I got Corsa working on it. Jeff Knapp and Chris Porter, is that his name, Nikki? Is that who called and wanted to come in and talk to Dan? I think that's his name.
And he actually called yesterday.
Yeah,
So
and
he
he's
can
meeting
meet
with Dan today.
Yeah.
So, and he'll be meeting with the sheriff as well to double check what they're saying went down to make sure it's gonna be a big claim.
Okay, other new business?
I'll run through the other business. I have bill vouchers 45 through 48. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the concealed handgun license fund, 047, putting $5,000 into supplies. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations within the Recovery Act Rural Law Enforcement Assistance Fund, 222, putting $1,723 into equipment. I have a resolution authorizing an appropriation adjustment within the general fund. This is moving, we paid our Corsa premiums for the year, our liability insurance. So we're moving $2,000 from insurance to Commissioner's equipment line. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations general fund for 2013. And this again is due to the lightning claim. Uninsured expense for $250,000, and that is just a guess. I just wanted to make sure we'd have enough in there. If we don't use that much, it'll go back to the general fund, and all but $2,500 will be reimbursed from the.
What timeline does it usually take for us to get reimbursed?
They're really quick. It
Are
usually
they?
only takes a couple weeks, and they get
Okay.
us the checks right back. They're pretty quick. Sometimes even before I get the bill paid, they've got me the check, so they're pretty good. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the dog and kennel fund, 035, putting $600 into contract services. I have a resolution authorizing an agreement with Richland Engineering for the tree removal, design bid only, and apron rehabilitation partial on behalf of the Seneca County Airport. I have Resolution rescinding the board's orders of March 12th, 2013, Journal 89, page 90. Resolution authorizing the cost savings incentive program and establishing the cost savings incentive program fund. State has said we do not need the fund, so it's gonna go back to the general fund. So we needed to rescind that. And then the next resolution is authorizing the cost savings incentive program with the same criteria as it was before. We just needed to take the fund out of it.
Which is kind of redirecting, is that
Yeah,
basically what it is
because
there?
initially we thought it would have to be into a new fund
Okay.
from the state to set it up, but it's going to go into a donation line under the general fund. And the other resolution will wait till the pipeline's here.
Okay. Okay, is there a motion on any of those resolutions?
So moved to accept the presented resolutions.
Seconded.
Second. Any discussion on any of them? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Zoller?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner?
Yes. Okay, do you guys have any other new at this time? All right, we got the pipeline folks coming at 10:30, and I know some of you are here for that meeting. That's what you're here for, Mr. Mitchum? All right. We do have an executive session with our dog warden for the, folks, I always want to phrase this right. We used to say personnel, but that's not the right word. To consider appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee. So do I have a motion to that effect?
So moved. We go into an executive session.
Okay, second?
Seconded.
All right, roll call, please.
Commissioner Zoller?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner?
Yes. Would it be easier for us to leave, or would?
Yeah, I think, why don't we leave? We'll-
Okay.
Don't have to, we'll be back in 15 minutes.